The Dodgers came into Sunday's game having already won the series, but like we said last night, we were greedy. We wanted the sweep. Dodgers bats apparently did not. Let's talk about it on All Dodgers. Hey, coming at you live from 3 different places. This is the All Dodgers podcast. I am Jeff Snider. I'm going to bring up my friends, and I'm going to point at them correctly the first time. That guy is Clint Pasillas. That guy is Kevin Skinner. I am Jeff Snider. This is All Dodgers, part of the Bleav Network of podcasts, brought to you by
FanDuel.
Yeah, we're happy to have you all here. We wish it was under better circumstances. Welcome back, Clint. While you were gone, the Dodgers won. Now that you're back, they suck again. And so
I still got it, baby. Still got it.
Dodgers won the series. And, you know, we were talking a little bit before we went live. We could have such an annoyingly positive episode here because if you had told us 4 days ago, hey, guess what? Dodgers are going to win 2 out of 3 against the Blue Jays. We would have said, awesome, you know, and they're going to score 9 runs in one of those games. The starting pitch is going to continue to be great. All those things. We would have been thrilled with that outcome. Problem is they won the first 2 games, and the nature of baseball fans is to get greedy. And even then, like, in some ways, I think it would have been easier to deal with today if it had been a run-of-the-mill, we just got beat 7-2. The bats just didn't show up. Problem is the bats showed up all the time except when they needed to show up. They showed up so much. There was so much showing up done today by the Dodgers bats, just not when they needed it most. And that's a frustrating way to lose, Clint.
Yeah, there's a lot of base runners, a lot of opportunity, which again is a good thing. Catching the end of the game where you see, you know, Conforto being forced into a pinch hitting spot, and our love affair, quote, that the Dodgers fans have with that dude this year. That's I think the part where people are going to be the most frustrated. We're definitely not going to take the sunshine pumper, you know, super positive approach to this. But again, for me, the 30,000 foot view of this series, where I'm not watching a whole bunch because I am drunk on a lake, or getting drunk on a lake, or around a lake.
Or hungover on a lake. Don't forget that.
Or hungover.
There's a lot of prepositions being thrown around. I'm confused. You lost me.
Not actually hungover. I was a good boy for the most part. But taking 2 of 3 from a very good team in the Toronto Blue Jays, you take that. You take that every single time. But like you said at the top of the show, you got to be greedy sometimes. And they had the opportunity. They had so many opportunities. And that's where it gets really, really sucky. And then all of a sudden, you get that existential dread when you're this close to the postseason. Is the bullpen really, really crappy? Can this offense hold up in October? And I think that's where there's no fix for this team if this is like when things go bad, how it kind of spirals, whatever. There's no more trade deadline. But I'm alive, so I guess I got that going for me.
Yeah. How about you, Kevin? Just making faces at the camera?
Yeah, I'm trying to raise my left eyebrow. It's stage right when you look at. Yeah, I can raise one, but not the other. It's really tough.
It's not great for podcasts.
Clint already said we're not taking the optimistic route, which is unfortunate for me because, yeah, they lost, but if you kind of look how they lost, I don't hate it. It's like weird. I posted it on Twitter. It's like pulls pin. Hey, it was like a pretty good game. Just the results were bad. Chucks grenade and like hides in the nearest bunker. That's how I feel about today because, yeah, they had opportunities. And for how bad the offense has been, and like, you know, within the last month, at least they had opportunities is kind of where I land because at least it felt like no lead was insurmountable. Yeah, I think the situational hitting needs to sort itself out. We'll get into the Dave of it all, which I also think is a good thing. I think it's that time of year. So, yeah, it's a loss, but you win the series, and I don't think they lose in the worst way possible.
Yeah, it's kind of in some ways it is the worst way possible. In some ways it's the best way possible, because like from a gut punch standpoint, a game like this that you really should win. Dave Roberts even said it after the game. This is a game we should have won. And so in that way, it is easier to take as a fan. It's like, oh, we just had a crappy game, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when you do have 23 base runners, I firmly Bleav that if the Dodgers had 23 base runners every game, they would go 152-10 over the course of the season. I think they're going to win the vast majority of games in which they have 23 base runners, because hitting with runners in scoring position is not an actual skill for the most part. It's just today, sometimes it was you had the wrong guy up with the situation. Sometimes it was the right guy up. I mean, it's Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani at the end of the game with bases loaded. You'll take that. You're down by one. You know, that's who you want up in those situations, and it didn't work out. You know, one time it was Michael Conforto, and it could have been Justin Dean, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you know, Michael Conforto might be an instance where there is a little bit, because when you've been as bad as Michael Conforto has been, you probably are more likely to press in that situation. But overall, hitters are going to hit with runners in scoring position roughly what they do any other time, maybe a little better in general because there's more stress on the pitcher. But you know, if the Dodgers have 23 base runners tomorrow, they're going to win 10-3. You know, they're not going to lose many games like this. And my evidence for that is the fact that they have literally never lost a game like this before. You know, that's all the evidence you need. It has never happened before. What the Dodgers did today, that's how I know it's unlikely to happen again.
What's funny for me is like I'm, you know, we mentioned Conforto. I think the Conforto factor, he's not going to really be around, maybe on the bench for this team or just held off the postseason roster altogether. I'm not terribly worried about the offense because we know they can do this, and eventually, you know, they're going to put points on the board. They're going to score runs. For people who don't like it when I say points, it's the bullpen. As good as they were in July, all of a sudden you're starting to see more of those issues that we were kind of worried about heading into the trade deadline and all of that. Like, hey, do they have enough arms? Is the addition of Brock Stewart and only Brock Stewart just enough? And then playing that whole if game, if Blake Trinan comes back and is good and is healthy and effective, and then also Tanner Scott and all the other dudes, Brusdar Graterol, whenever he comes back. We know Roki Sasaki could be a bullpen option, but, you know, suddenly, you know, Trinan is back and he's, you know, we had a little bit of a talk, us three in our, you know, group chat thread, whatever we want to call it.
That no one else is allowed to read because I post salacious things in there.
Yeah. That's where he gives us his worst takes sometimes. And one of them was like, hey, Blake Trinan looked really, really nasty. But the problem is you can look nasty, but you gave up 2 runs. And that proved a pretty big difference in the ball game. And he is his batters are 8 for 19. They're hitting .421 with 2 homers and 4 walks since he's returned from the injured list. Blake Trinan, not selling my stock on him yet, but he is a concern. And then if Tanner Scott comes back, he is a concern. Just the bullpen. You don't win in October with a crap bullpen.
Yeah, but Trinan did look really nasty until he gave up he threw literally the 2 worst pitches I've ever seen Blake Trinan throw. I mean, you're talking sweepers that just hung middle on back-to-back pitches. But I mean, he looked good besides that.
And some of it today was that, like, it was frustrating that Tyler Glasnow couldn't get deeper in the game, that he wasn't super efficient and, you know, walked too many guys. And so he couldn't even get through 6 innings because all of that has an impact on the bullpen. That kind of gives me hope for this bullpen. Between the guys coming back, who I really do believe Tanner Scott is going to pitch better when he comes back. Kirby Yates, I'm less confident about, but hopeful still. You know, Michael Kopech, I believe that his stuff will eventually, you know, as long as they get back in enough time to get settled in, I think they'll be fine in October. But one of the keys is going to be the starting pitching getting deeper in the games so that they don't have to get overworked. And the pitching the starting pitch has been doing a really good job until today. Today was the first time in a while, and like Glasnow's numbers today looked good, but not being able to get deeper in the game for them. And again, he probably would have gotten deeper if the offense had capitalized on more, because his pitch count was under control ish. He had pitches left to get through 6, but the game was way too tight. If the Dodgers are up 6-1 instead of 3-1 at that point, then they probably do leave Glasnow in to finish that 6th inning. But
that sounds more like an offensive problem though, because like Blake Snell only went 5 innings yesterday.
That's what I'm saying. All of it works together. If the offense can help, then the starting pitching can get deeper. Starting pitching gets deeper. That's less the bullpen has to do. And honestly, if the Dodgers can get 23 guys on base, even if the bullpen comes in and says, "Hey guys, let's give up 3 home runs in 2 innings," they'll still win most of their games. Like that's how crazy this offensive performance with runners in scoring position was. That it just you don't leave what they end up leaving 16 guys on base. Like you don't leave 16 guys on base. It's almost mathematically impossible to leave 16 guys on base, and yet they did it. And I, Michael took issue with me in the chat saying that I don't know that that's not going to happen again tomorrow. I do. I do. I 100% know that the Dodgers are not going to leave 16 runners on base tomorrow and only score 4 runs.
They might against the Angels. They might against the Angels, but they'll at least score like 9 runs in the process of leaving like 16 guys on base. Like if they did, it would be they score runs and leave a ton of guys on base. It won't be leave a ton of guys on base and don't score runs, kind of like today. Or score enough runs.
Alex in the chat says, "Can Snell and Glasnow give this team more than 5 innings?" Where did it pop up? I thought I clicked on it.
No, it looks like it's hidden down there.
Oh, it's hiding.
It's hiding behind the
center
there.
But Glasnow, 100% can. Snell, it's gonna be entirely on his walk rate. If he can strike guys out and be a little bit more efficient, yes, he absolutely can.
I also think Snell is also still building up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
So maybe I don't think they want him to throw 100 pitches yet, but maybe in the next one. But yeah, before we move on to talk more about this game and maybe some of the decisions Dave Roberts made, because I know people want to talk about this, I do want to point out that with all of this, over at FanDuel, our sponsor, the Dodgers are still minus 650 to win the division.
That's better than yesterday, Jeff.
Yeah.
It was minus 600 yesterday, and they were a game ahead at this point.
This is, and part of that is because the Dodgers are now exactly the same spot they were before this series began, 2 games out of the Padres, but there's 3 fewer games left on the schedule. And so, there's all sorts of ways. I don't think any of us are happy about this game today. And so I know it's the tendency in the chat whenever we say anything remotely positive for people to think that we are saying that everything is positive. And that's not the case. But right now, whether it's FanDuel, the betting odds you're looking at, where the Dodgers are heavy favorites, or FanGraphs, where they're actually running simulations of the actual teams playing actual baseball, the Dodgers are heavy favorites to win the division there. And overwhelming favorites to make the postseason. Obviously, none of us would be happy if they take a wild card spot or even the third seed, so they have to play the wild card series as a division champ. We want one of those top 2 seeds. So none of us are going to be happy with that. But I feel like there's a lot of this is the worst team I've ever seen takes. A lot more than you would expect from a team that's having a relatively good season.
Yeah, I mean, expectations are high, but I think the record at this time a year ago is pretty much like a mirror image. At least that's something I saw yesterday. I say it a million times over. Kevin has heard it too many times. Jeff, you've probably heard it too many times. The team being bad is part of a better story than the team being good over the course of 162 and then 11 wins in October. This type of crap that we see today builds some sort of character. So I enjoy when they're bad a little bit. I enjoy when people get a little upset and trying to find a positive through line, but also being like, again, my biggest worry right now is the bullpen. I'm going to keep circling back to it because I really want to talk more about the bullpen. Not that I think we have too much more to add to it, but this is fun. This is why sports are fun.
It's kind of funny because several times over those, like when we think about 2022 and 2023, when the Dodgers kind of dominated and then got knocked out in the division series, how many times did we hear people say they need to have to fight to win the division so that they come into October hungry? But
Also,
this
They
is
say that
this
until
is
you
what it
have to
looks
be
like to have to fight to win the division. This is what it looks like, and it's not fun. Like people think that they will enjoy it. Yeah, we'll enjoy it in October if all of this, the Dodgers are battle tested, and because of all these things they learned, they go out and they win in October. That'll be great. I'd still rather have them win 114 games in the regular season and then win 11 straight in the postseason. But yeah, I think this is what people were asking for.
You know why I don't like that, though? Because I think of that damn 20, was it the 22 team where they won 111 games, and how just god awful, and it had nothing to do with them winning 111
No.
games, but just I worry about that version of the story. That
I know
version of it.
everybody does, but
Yeah.
this is the alternative. This is what
Yeah.
people who are angry right now literally wished for this kind of season.
Mm-hmm.
Where the Dodgers have to fight to even win the division. The Padres are pushing them. This is what people wished for.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's because they wanted to be grumpy during the regular season. I think that's a big part of sports fandom for a lot of people, is the opportunity to be angry at their favorite team when they win a series against the team with the best record in the American League coming in. I don't know.
I'm a Raiders fan. I'm grumpy all the time. So
Yeah, you made bad decisions there.
You chose to be a football fan.
A couple of chats. Perfect segue to Kenny Chung's comment. Like, you must be a glutton for punishment, Clint. Like, yeah, I mean, if we're sports fans, and if Kevin's a Raider fan, absolutely a glutton for punishment there.
Trying to get that thing up
finds
here.
finds the hidden comment on his screen there. Lucy brings up a point. We'll touch on that one in just a second, but Lucy brings a point that what's your name again? Kevin brought up when we were just about to go live. I don't know. Listen, you people weren't at the lake. Major Chip Hazard saying ebbs and flows of baseball, to continue that kind of different way of saying what we're saying here in the conversation. And another thing I really liked was Alex saying, I know Jeff says it's only one game, but it's not one game when San Diego is only 2 games back. And that's the other thing that
counterpoint, hashtag math. It is only one game, literally, mathematically speaking.
2 games in the standings, or whatever they like to call it.
It's one game. If the Dodgers had won today, they'd be 3 games up. They lost, so they're 2 games up. It's only 2 games in the standings when they're playing the Padres. Then it actually matters double, because you losing also means the second place also Rans won. Right now, it's just 1 game. That doesn't mean that it doesn't matter, but it only matters 1 game's worth. That's my only point when I say it's just 1 game. That is a mathematical statement, not a value judgment.
Get math out of here. We're not that kind of show.
I know you're not.
It's the only thing I'm good at, so it will forever be in the show.
Ooh.
Have you seen my eyes? That's all I'm good at.
Anyways, do you want to talk about the Will Smith thing there? What do you want to do, Jeff?
Yeah, let's talk about. I'll pop that back up on the screen.
Yeah, Lucy had said in the chat. Lucy Chan saying Will Smith has gone cold. Second half Will Smith that we were trying to avoid. So I wouldn't. I looked at the numbers as well when Kevin brought it up. I don't know that we can fully throw out the second half Will Smith, because he was good through all of July, but so far to open up August is pretty rough. I think just 2 hits in this month, hitting around 100 now. I think it's more of a slump than anything.
It's definitely too small a sample size to say, oh, this is second half Will Smith. This is what he does.
Really, really hoping that it's not.
Yeah, small sample size turns into big sample size unless it turns around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one thing that worries me is he had 2 home runs on the 21st of July, and then before that he hadn't had a home run since the 4th of July. Ray Charles and all that. So that means he's had 3 home runs in a little over a month. That to me is concerning, as much as it is him being 2 for 20. Not only is he not connecting with the baseball, but he's also not driving it for power. That's just something that you just kind of keep track of, and you hope it doesn't turn into anything bigger. I think we have seen a new version of Will Smith where he'll figure it out. Dalton Rushing definitely helps that calculus, not to bring math back into it, but also to bring math back into it. This team is obviously, spoiler alert, this team's better when Will Smith is hitting the baseball. I don't know.
Yeah. Alex says, Jeff knows what we mean when we say it's not just 1 game. Clint understands. Yeah, I do know what you mean. And I just want to make sure you know what I mean, that I mean it's literally just one game. So as long we don't have to agree on this, you can think it's way more important.
Jeff and I were literally on here last night going, hey, this was a great series. We were just going to get greedy and hope they win tomorrow. And we were happy last night, and then they lose today, and everybody wants to like pretend that the world's exploded. It was a game, guys.
Hey, we got 2 super chats. First one, $4.99 super chat from Richie Flores. Flores. All Dodgers is sponsored by FanDuel. That's great. Sincerely, Emmanuel Clase. Bunting with Alex Call took the bat out of Ohtani's hands. Thanks, Dave. Let's use this to springboard into that particular choice. There's a couple of Dave Robertsons. You guys, I texted you guys when Trinan gave up the 2 homers, and I said, I can't wait to see how people blame Dave Roberts for this loss. And yes, they did bunt with Alex Call, and then the Blue Jays did intentionally walk Shohei Ohtani. What that did was put the go-ahead run on base. If they hadn't bunted with Alex Call probably pops out or grounds out, and then Shohei Ohtani, mathematically speaking, has about a 60% chance of getting out too. We saw it his next time up. He got out. And so I am always in favor of when the other team wants to intentionally walk a Dodger, absolutely, because that means that Dodger gets to get on base and go do, especially when you got Mookie hitting the way he's been hitting, and then Will Smith, even though he's struggling right now, and then Freddie Freeman. The Dodgers have enough bats at the top of this order. Intentionally walk Shohei Ohtani every time up, and it will most of the time go well for the Dodgers, at least often enough that, I think that's why they did it, why they had called bunt, to dare John Schneider to intentionally put the go-ahead run on base. Ohtani didn't end up scoring. The Dodgers did score 1 run that inning, but he didn't end up scoring. But overall, I think that was a good call, personally.
Not for Alex Call.
Except he did bunt well. It was a good bunt.
Thank you. At least he's self-aware enough.
Listen,
to do
again, I didn't watch the game. I was driving. But Francisco Diaz, also with the $4.99 super chat, all on the Dave Roberts slander or kind of conversation. Can any of you guys give me let me know what Doc is drinking? Still in disbelief that Conforto was the pinch hitter there, and this was something you and I, or us 3 were talking about before going live. Conforto pinch hitting in such an important spot late in the game. That's where you're like, why did they pinch run? Why is Teo out of the game? Why couldn't they have gone with somebody else? I got nothing to say. I'm setting the stage, Jeff.
This is one of those things. There's a couple decisions that went into this. Pinch running for Teo in the 7th inning with Justin Dean. At that point, it was probably a lot more likely that they were going to need Justin Dean's defense than that they were going to need Teoscar Hernandez's bat. Teo's spot in the lineup was unlikely to even come up again. If we had known Blake Trinan is going to throw the 2 worst pitches he's thrown all year, and the Blue Jays are going to hit both of them over the fence, then maybe they play that differently. But getting extra speed on the bases, which then didn't help that Andy Pages swung at the very first pitch and hit into a force play. So it immediately took Justin Dean's speed off the bases. So you didn't even get any benefit of the pinch run. You still had the benefit of his defense. It's a much better defensive outfield with Dean out there. So I didn't hate the decision to pinch run for Teo at that point. But then once he did pinch run, then when that spot does come up and his bases loaded, 2 outs, and that spot that was Teo, now it's Justin Dean, who has 1 major league at bat in his career, and he struck out, who has a long track record in the minors of being a bad hitter until this year. And so you're weighing all those things. Do you really want this guy's 2nd career at bat to be in this situation? And you got Michael Conforto, who, yes, we all agree Michael Conforto is not a good hitter this year. He does take a lot of walks. He even takes a lot of hit by pitches. And they tried to hit him twice. The thing I'm most angry about is that Michael Conforto got out of the way twice. Like, lean into that, you idiot.
Chase Utley is somewhere rolling over in his grave.
Chase Utley, Justin Turner, all these guys, they're like, what are you doing? They just gave you an RBI and you got out of the way twice. And then, so I think Michael Conforto is a better choice there than Justin Dean. The only other option is to have Dalton Rushing pinch hit instead. Rushing did have a big hit yesterday. I think there's probably, I think Dalton Rushing is a better hitter than Michael Conforto. I don't know that he would have been more likely to get a hit today. And I do think at some point you're in that veteran mindset of, well, Conforto can give us a quality at bat and hopefully go up there and take a walk with this pitcher who's not throwing strikes. And it looked like it was going to work. It went 3-0. And then, like, personally, I would have like yelled out from the dugout, you have 3 take signs. Once it was 3-0, I'd rather have him take strike 3 than pop up on a 3-1 pitch. But that 3-1 pitch was such a meatball. And like Dave Roberts himself after the game, Dave doesn't throw guys under the bus, but Dave Roberts basically threw Michael Conforto under the bus. He said, look, he got a great pitch to hit, and you've got to do something better than what he did with that. And that's like, I think this is on the players. I think this is the players being put in a situation, and this is the best situation Michael Conforto is going to get, the best opportunity to contribute, and he failed. And that might be good news for Dodger fans who are tired of seeing Michael Conforto. The fact that Dave Roberts, with his actual voice on the actual record, said Michael Conforto sucks the big one. Maybe not in those
Paraphrasing.
words. Yeah.
Paraphrasing.
Big one.
That might be good news.
I'll ask this. I want to throw this to Kevin. Do you think Michael Conforto is still on the roster? Let's say when the Dodgers take off, I mean, they go on the mini roadie down to Anaheim, come back to play the Padres. But when they take off to Colorado, I mean, he had a good series last time he was in Colorado, but do they eliminate the Michael Conforto factor for all of us by, next Monday? What do you think, Kevin? Because it's got to be time at some point.
So I don't know if it'll be by next Monday. Jeff and I posited this with Jeff last night. I think when Ha-Seong Kim comes back, when he's ready to go, I think Conforto is the first name off the chopping block. So if that's in Colorado, it's in Colorado. I think right now Freeland has shown you not only great defense, but discipline at the plate. You've seen, Alex Call, again, good defense. He has run into a little bit of bad luck. He hit a good ball today. It didn't fall. There was some good outfield defense there. So I think, unfortunately for Conforto, his only value to the team is to hit, and he didn't hit. And like you said, he had a 3-0 today. The fact that he swung 3-1 is beyond me. I do not get that. That just does not compute in my brain. He is good at taking walks. Man, just take the meatball and just down the middle, make that guy throw you another pitch in the same spot. And if he beats you, he beats you. 3-1 pop out, I don't get it. But if he's not hitting, Conforto, that is, he doesn't provide good enough defense. He did have a nice catch, I will say, on the run today. Again, for whatever reason, when he's against the wall, he gets it. But everything else, at least going towards the infield, moving forward, he doesn't. He can't make a play on it. So I don't, long story short, I don't know if it's in Colorado, but I think when Ha-Seong Kim comes back, or when they're ready to bring him back, I do believe Conforto will be the move.
Yeah, it's DFA time. It's got to be DFA season for this dude already. Again, it is August 10th, and he is very bad at hitting baseball or doing any sort of baseball activity. Guys, hit that like button. If we get to 200 likes, I will send Andrew Friedman a text and say, please DFA. Michael
it's going to be weird when you send that text and my phone lights up.
Yeah, it's. I thought you were gonna say if we get 200 likes, you'll do math on camera, but maybe that's a little bit too much to ask from
that would be
everybody.
Really
Clint.
awful. But I do have Andrew Friedman's phone number, and I do have the All Dodgers voicemail hotline that I could use to call or text Andrew Friedman. So wait, I think that still comes back to me. Anyways, just like the video is the point.
Overall, there was a couple other Mookie Betts got caught stealing. Shohei Ohtani got caught stealing third to end an inning with Freddie Freeman up, and that's those things, little things that contribute to having 23 base runners and only 4 runs. Will Smith hit into a double play one time. They're just, even Andy Pajas, when he did successfully steal second, he was almost out. Close enough that the Blue Jays challenged it. He almost came off the bag. It was just kind of a comedy of crap. mix of metaphor. And
Can I interject a little positivity here? Because it very much plays
it's
off
up to
this.
you've seen what the chat's going to do to it, but
That's fine.
Boo.
That's fine. The chat. We know the chat is ready to just absolutely roast me. That's fine. But it feels like every year we come to the point in the season where Dave just has had enough, at least, or the front office has allowed him to have enough, where he can start calling people out and really kind of start showing some frustration to the media. And that seemed like it was today. He had called out Conforto. He even said, "Hey, Shohei made a bad baseball play." That's as close as you're going to get to Dave Roberts, like throwing a guy under the bus and saying that was like don't ever do that again, and just chewing a guy out. That's as close as you'll get. That's where I think he's starting to tighten the screws. And when he starts to tighten the screws, I do think the team will do the same. I do believe this team, it's full of veterans. It's full of guys who have literally won a World Series, most of which was back in 2024, literally a year ago. They know what it takes, and they know, all right, hey, enough of the mental errors. Let's start playing a cleaner brand of baseball where Shohei maybe doesn't need to extend himself so much. He saw it on the base paths. We saw it in his last at-bat where he saw literally 2 strikes in the entire at-bat. In a 9-pitch at-bat, he saw 2 strikes and struck out swinging. Like, I expect him to stop making errors on the base paths. And, in situations where a guy who has clearly not demonstrated to throw strikes with the bases loaded, maybe for Shohei to, take a pitch. But let it get to 3-2.
That ain't his game, man. He's out there to hit dingers.
It has to be. It has to be because
he's
team
won
is
MVPs, not not trying to hit dingers constantly, man. He just wants to swing at everything. It was a bad look
last year or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, and that's a situation where Shohei needs to recognize this guy's not going to throw the ball in the strike zone. I would rather have him strike out looking than strike out swinging at a pitch in the dirt.
On a close pitch.
Yeah.
He's like playing,
once it got to
MLB
full
The
count
Show or whatever.
Yeah,
you just always swinging at everything in MLB Show.
There was no way that guy trusted his fastball against Shohei Ohtani. He's throwing him off speed, and so if nothing, even if you don't just guarantee that he's going to throw it out of the strike zone, at least he's throwing off speed, and so you got to sit off speed. And when he starts that, you're okay. I'm not swinging at this. But that's also easy for us to say here. And, I do believe Shohei Ohtani is a better hitter than I am. Hashtag
spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Hot take alert.
All these things. And that's the thing about a game like this. When you have that many opportunities, there are 20 different things that if one of them had gone differently, the Dodgers win this game. And that's why overall it's easy enough for me to chalk this up as just one game. Because it's just one game. I'm just going to keep saying it just to make Alex mad. But
it's just
and
one
to
game
just
where
say, you know what?
A few of them like it.
Tomorrow, one of those 20 things will go differently. Whether that's Michael Conforto not getting out of the way of the pitch that's going to hit him, or
not being
Shohei Ohtani knowing that they're not going to throw him a fastball, or Mookie Betts or Shohei not getting caught stealing, or Blake Trinan not throwing the 2 worst pitches of the year back to back. There's so many things that could have gone differently today that didn't. And yeah, it doesn't change the outcome of today's game, which is what people always accuse me of saying. So it's the moral victory, so that counts in the standings, right? No, it doesn't count in the standings. But moving forward, I always think back to 2018. The Dodgers had so many games like this in 2018 where it's like, how did we have 17 base runners and only score 2 runs? And,
they were also 8.5 games back at one point.
Yeah.
Waiting for the offense to show up. So.
And then they figured it out. They regressed, they progressed to the mean, and they ended up in the World Series. That's, to me, today was a good sign for the offense. A bunch of people got a bunch of hits. A bunch of people had a lot of really good at bats, taking walks. And, I hope they do it again tomorrow, and I hope 4 of those 20 things go better and the Dodgers score 10 runs.
NS with a great chat here. Dude, I hate Conforto. Same. Just want to.
I saw one earlier. one earlier as well from Mark Sotelo saying, I'm for the DFA, but like a week ago, as you were telling me, a week ago, you guys were telling me all how great Michael Conforto was. Listen, he pulled
Yeah.
the damn like wool over our eyes here. Like he lied. He played. He did enough to get his ass not traded or DFA'd before the deadline.
Yeah.
He played great.
Cole in the chat says Jeff's headstone will read, it's just one game. Guess what? It'll be true then too. True while I'm alive, true when I'm dead. But I take issue with what Mark said because
Mine's gonna read.
we
turn
weren't
around.
saying Michael Conforto's so great. I remember you and me having this conversation, and I asked you how many games like this in a row would Michael Conforto have to have for you to believe that he's for real? And we agreed the answer is there are not enough games for him to do that. None of us have ever been on board with Michael Conforto is great now. We were hoping, since he's on the team, that he could keep his above averageness going that he had going for 3 weeks. But even that, it was like an 850 OPS during that time. It's like, that's good. It's not great. We're not talking about a guy who got on a crazy hot streak. And so, like, okay, well, maybe he can keep that going. And then he hasn't. But I don't think any of us on this, and maybe Mark meant in the general term of Dodgers podcasters in general, but I could only think of one in the general Dodgers podcast universe, one person who is on Team Conforto. And he does have the same first name and last initial as me, but it ain't me, and it's nobody on this show. And I like him. I like Jeff Spiegel. I am not on the Conforto train like he is.
Yeah, well, Jeff has to be because Spiegel has to be because I think that was a big pick for him at the start of the season. So
and he's on the Dodgers payroll.
Well, yeah, everybody knows that.
Everybody,
those Dodger Blue boys, yeah, big time.
Me, I'm on the Dodgers payroll because all I want to do is spin yarn and tell people how good this team is.
Be sipping that dang Dodger Kool-Aid.
But
you have it on the. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, we have it on the screen where it says LA bullpen bombed too, and we were talking about the whole offense. To be fair, I'm not really watching the show. I'm looking at the comments. There was a chat that I saw. Well, listen, I'm catching up on a lot. I was gone for like 4 solid days of not paying attention to any of you people. But somebody said, Mark also said, no. Yeah, bullpen issues ignored at the deadline. That's the real issue. And Jeff, you're the one. I said something very similar in our text thread. And you were like, look at the guys who were traded away. They've been bad too. The big names haven't really done well going around to going to their new teams or whatever. Brock Stewart hasn't been good for the Dodgers, but relief pitching, bullpen arms, closers, those are all volatile, positions. That's I mean, I had to borrow from Manny Machado. That's just baseball. I think the Dodgers, once again, will play the if game. The Dodgers get better once they start getting healthier. Roki Sasaki could be a big bullpen factor for this team in October, but I don't know that they could have really fixed this bullpen at the deadline.
Yeah, and I would absolutely. I wish the Dodgers had gotten David Bednar and Yohan Duran. But until I actually hear about a trade that was proposed to the Dodgers that they turned down, it's like people say, they should have got that guy. But it takes 2 teams to trade, and it might just be that those other trades lined up better. And maybe they did have a trade lined up. We know last year the Dodgers could have gotten Garrett Crochet if they had been willing to include Dalton Rushing. And they didn't do that trade. I haven't heard anything specific from this recent trade deadline where we know, if they had been willing to do this trade package, they could have gotten Yohan Duran or whoever. Until I hear one of those packages, I can't judge a trade package that is just nebulous. Well, they've got the prospects. They could have done it because every team has prospects, and a lot of teams traded a lot of prospects for these guys. Yeah. The Padres gave up the number 3 prospect in all of baseball for Mason Miller. There's a decent chance the Dodgers couldn't have gotten Mason Miller no matter what trade they're willing to do because the Dodgers do not have somebody ranked higher in the prospects than Leo DeVries, And so yeah, I wish they had done more for the bullpen at the trade deadline, but I don't know that we can say they blew it until we know what opportunities they had. And, I don't know. That's my thought on that. But if we do find out specific trades that they could have made and didn't, if I find out for Ryan Ward and Hae-Sung Kim, they could have had Yohan Duran and Byron Buxton, then yeah, I will say, okay, I am angry that they didn't do that trade. I suspect that trade was never on the table, and so somewhere in there may have been trades on the table. We know they were trying to get Stephen Kwan, but we don't know what the Guardians wanted for him. There's all sorts of stuff. We just don't know enough to say with certainty the front office blew this trade deadline. And we also don't know how guys are going to pitch in October. Mm-hmm. I do want to mention, though, Shohei Ohtani had a good game today. And now over on FanDuel, his MVP odds. You remember what it was yesterday, K-Pop?
Yesterday was like wasn't it plus 10,000?
Minus 10,000.
Minus 10,000. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like overwhelming favorite to the point where after we were done recording, I thought, I said to Kevin, I think they're just bumping up these numbers just to get people to put money on other guys. Well, it's now minus 20,000 for Shohei to win the National League MVP.
It doubled?
It doubled.
Halved? I don't know. How do you do
Yeah, however you want to say it. Shohei is twice as strong a favorite. Kyle Schwarber is the next closest at plus 2,000.
That's insane.
Yeah, so I think this is one of those things, and betting odds are always based on the actual action, and so this is probably the odds makers saying everybody's betting on Shohei. We need to get people to bet on some other guys, and because there's not much point betting on Shohei at this point, because you'd have to bet $20,000 to win $100. That's not a great investment, folks. But right. If you put $100 on Kyle Schwarber and he wins it, you win 2,000. I think that's what they're trying to do to get some of that action. But this just kind of tells you between Shohei's offense and the fact that he does a thing that none of the other contenders do, which is throw a baseball from a pitcher's mound. Yeah, he is an overwhelming favorite over there on FanDuel, who is a sponsor of all Dodgers.
Woo! People are wondering about me. Mark is asking, "Are you okay, Clint?" It's like you're hardly here. Well, one, I should probably be partially on vocal rest because I blew out my voice drinking and yelling and enjoying my life whilst on vacation. But I'm a trooper and I wanted to talk Dodger baseball with my boys.
Alex says Clint looks exhausted. I just want to point out it's just one day, Alex.
I am a tired boy.
It's just one day.
Last night we were up till I see what you did there. Last night we're up to like 2 a.m. in the morning, which Papa Bear hasn't done that in a long time. I'm old now, so I am exhausted. Is the point?
Well, good.
That's all I got.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
I think
I appreciate everybody hanging out here. By the way,
yeah, absolutely. We've got a good group here. Always fun talking Dodgers. Dodgers. No day off after this series. They have to travel all the way to Los Angeles. I think that's where the Angels play. That's what Major League Baseball has told me. They're going to Los Angeles to play the Angels. I'm not sure. Maybe at the Coliseum. I don't know. But wherever it is, down at Disneyland where the Angels play, Dodgers will be there for the next 3 days. And we have Yamamoto pitching on Monday, Emmett Sheehan on Tuesday, and then Shohei on Wednesday. And so pitching-wise, should line up well for the Dodgers. The Dodgers hopefully are still a little bit angry about the last series against the Angels, which did not go very well for the Dodgers. And so hopefully they can remind them who the real LA team is over the next few days.
I am really looking forward to seeing Shohei pitch against the Angels. I hope he just goes ham on those dudes.
Yeah, it'll be his first time ever pitching against the Angels. He's pitched at that stadium plenty of times, so that's good. Meanwhile, the Padres will be going up to San Francisco to take on the Giants for the next 3 games, which could be good news, could be bad news.
So I know people are going to ask, are we rooting for the Giants? No, we're rooting for the stadium to explode. We're rooting for a Dark Knight Rises level event where the grass and the dirt collapse.
I just want to go on record as saying I do not want people to die just because they play for the worst baseball
Nobody
teams
said they
in the world.
died. They could have just been horribly maimed.
Yeah, maimed. Yeah, injuries.
Yeah. But I could definitely get on board with everybody spraining their ankle at the same time. A group ankle sprain.
Now we're going to be that podcast who's wishing harm on the opponents. You should beat them by being better. You know what we should do? We should be nice. As Dodgers fans or as a team, we should designate Michael Conforto for assignment so he can go hook on with another team and still have a chance.
Go back to the Giants, Giants fans love him. I will say I'm not rooting for the Giants. I am rooting for the team in second place to lose because that's what matters to me. And so if that means that technically I want the Giants to score more runs than their opponents, so be it. I want the Giants to win the next 3 games because I don't care about the Giants or the Padres, except in as much as it affects the Dodgers. And right now the Giants are out of the race and the other team isn't. And so I want the other team to lose. So yeah,
Rent
hopefully,
free.
yeah, rent free. You know, if they'd stop being in second place, I'd stop talking about them. You know.
Yeah.
So, you guys got anything else?
I'm good. I want to go to bed.
You're better than good, Clint. You're great.
Hey. That's why we pay him the big
Isn't that
bucks.
a commercial? It's not good. It's great.
No.
It's
All right.
not-
Kevin's definitely ready for bed over there.
It's not
Clint's
the
ready for bed.
place, it's
I am the
something
only
else.
person who is functioning fully right now. And so I will say thank you all for being here with us. We had a great group here live. If you're listening or watching later, be sure to like, subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, throw your comments in the comment section. Keep that conversation going even after the fact. You can go to patreon.com/realfrg. For $5 a month, you can get access to our Discord server, which is a lot of fun. Or on days like this, a lot of therapy,
But
if you will.
if unless the Padres get swept and the Dodgers sweep, the series against the Padres could be decided by a sweep in either direction. And if you want to join a couple of us on Friday night as that series is going on, gotta be in the Discord because we'll be there.
We'll be doing a watch party on the Discord, so check that out. You can also do that by joining the membership here on YouTube for $5. Either way, thank you to the Bleav Network of podcasts for having us here on the network. Thank you to FanDuel for sponsoring us. Thank you to Clint for getting back safely from his drunk boat. Thank you to Kevin for doing his best impression of a drunk boat here on the podcast tonight. And
I could do a better impression. Just give me a few minutes. I can do better.
A reasonable impression. We'll say a reasonable impression.
Reasonable.
I think some combination of us will be back tomorrow night for a post-game episode after the Dodgers win game 1 of the series with the Angels because Yoshinobu Yamamoto throws his first career no-hitter. We will be here to talk about all of it. And that's going to do it for us. So thank you all and
Appreciate you guys. Bye.
Bye.